This is a peculiar question. The question asks us an effective course of action for a company who wants to take advantage of the directive but also wants to minimize the impact because of the predicted quota. The argument mentions that there will be a quota that will limit manufacturing firms to a flat percentage of their previous manufacturing output before the quota. So this company wants to minimize this impact, and we have to suggest an effective course of action for the company. There is no conclusion in the argument, and the missing link is between the reduction of a flat percentage of previous manufacturing output and the actual reduction. And our broad expectation from the correct answer choice is that the company should increase its absolute manufacturing output before the quota is imposed in order to get minimum impact of the limitation of the quota, which would reduce it to a flat percentage of the previous output. Let's look at the answer choices. Answer choice A. This answer choice talks about the plan of selling less profitable drugs after the quota is imposed. However, this answer choice doesn't suggest anything about how the company can minimize the impact of the quota when the quota limits the manufacturing firm to a flat percentage of its previous manufacturing output before the quota. So this answer choice does not indicate an effective course of action for the company. So let's eliminate this answer choice. Answer choice B. This answer choice talks about a plan to increase the total manufacturing output before the quota is imposed. So basically this answer choice talks about increasing the base before the quota is imposed. If the base of manufacturing output is increased, it can be inferred that when the quota comes in place and a flat percentage of the previous base is allowed, this new base will also be greater than the previous base because there has been an increase in the total manufacturing output. A good way to understand this is to use some numbers. Let's say we have the company producing 100 quantity of manufacturing output and the quota only allows 10% after the quota is imposed. So if the company has only 100 manufacturing outputs, it will be allowed to sell only 10 outputs after the quota. But as per this plan, if the company increases the total manufacturing output, let's say to 150%, and then when that quota comes in place, because the quota only allows 10%, now the company will be able to sell 15 manufacturing outputs as opposed to 10 manufacturing outputs. So this way the company can benefit even after the quota of 10% is implemented, which is what is suggested in this answer choice. So in other words, this answer choice indicates an effective course of action for the company to minimize the impact of the quota. A good answer choice. Let's keep this on hold. Answer choice C. This answer choice talks about replacing equipment with more efficient machinery. This may improve the efficiency of operations of the firm, but it makes no suggestion regarding how the company will minimize the impact of the quota when the quota allows only a flat percentage of previous manufacturing output to be sold back to the government. So this answer choice does not indicate the effective course of action for the company. So let's eliminate this answer choice. Answer choice D. The argument talks about the government's directive to purchase all the drugs that are not sold in the open market. The proposed limitation or the quota will also be applicable to the drugs that are not sold in the open market. Whereas this answer choice talks about agreements to sell the drugs. So this answer choice basically relates to all the drugs that would be eventually sold in the open market. So this answer choice has no bearing over the benefit that a company receives because of the directive or because of the quota. So let's eliminate this answer choice. Answer choice E. This answer choice talks about a voluntary cutback, that means reduction of drug production. With reduced production, the company would be eligible to sell less even before the quota. And when the quota brings further limitations, the company will be eligible to sell less because of this voluntary reduction than without it. Again, a good way to look at this is to take some numbers. Let's say the manufacturing output earlier was 100 and after voluntary reduction, the output was, let's say 70. And when the quota comes in place, let's say the quota is 10%. Now the company without any voluntary reduction would have been eligible to sell 10%. So basically the voluntary reduction has reduced the benefit to the company. So this answer choice does the opposite of what we need. So let's eliminate this answer choice. B is the correct answer choice.